Yes. Honesty, she's right. And today's Peace Builder play is about honesty and about a boy who made a very bad choice. I'm going to turn the microphone over to Mrs. Albert, and she's going to start the play, The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Boy who lived in a village. He wasn't very old, but he had an important job. He was a shepherd, and his job was to guard the village's sheep from danger. The shepherd boy always also had to make sure the sheep got plenty of food. So every day he hugged his mother and father goodbye and took the sheep to a nearby valley. Now the villagers trusted him to take good care of their sheep by himself. Now the shepherd boy wasn't really all alone. The village people worked nearby. If a wolf ever did attack, they could run to the rescue. The villagers counted on the shepherd boy to do his job, and they never felt like they had to check on him because they trusted him. The shepherd boy watched the sheep from his lookout post. He could also see the people hard at work. Some days they worked at their jobs in the village, and sometimes they did other chores. But for the shepherd boy, every day was the same. He looked at the sheep, they looked the same. Then he looked at the forest, it looked the same too. In his whole life, the boy had never seen a wolf come near the sheep. In fact, he had never even seen a wolf. And some people told stories of hearing wolves howl in the forest, but the shepherd boy had never heard any howling. Sometimes he even wondered if there really were any wolves. So the shepherd boy tried to make things more exciting. He thought, maybe I can play some games with the sheep. He smiled when he thought about the fun he would have. So he tried playing games with the sheep. But they didn't want to play catch. And they weren't interested in trying to throw the ball either. And they didn't even want to try to kick the ball. All the sheep wanted to do was eat the grass or take a nap. Well, this isn't any fun at all, thought the shepherd boy. As the shepherd boy walked back to his lookout post, he noticed the trees in the forest. I wonder, he said, thinking out loud, what is on the other side of those trees? Then the shepherd boy smiled to himself. Would it be so bad to pretend there was a wolf? He thought this would be a good joke. So as the sheep ate the grass, he cupped his hand by his mouth and shouted, "Wolf! Wolf! A wolf is stealing the sheep! Come help me!" All the village people stopped what they were doing and ran to help scare off the wolf. When they got there, though, they were very confused. They didn't find a wolf, and where was the shepherd boy? They were very worried about him. Then a villager pointed to a tree and said, "There he is, over there! Is he okay?" They saw that he was not hurt. In fact, he was laughing. "You look so funny running up here for no reason. That was a great joke," laughed the shepherd boy. But the villagers did not laugh. They had been very frightened for the boy and their sheep, and they did not feel like laughing at all. They shook their heads and said, "We have to get back to work now. We don't have time for pranks." But the shepherd boy hardly heard a word they said. He was still laughing too hard as he took the sheep back to the village. The next day, the shepherd boy's mother and father He nodded his head and left to tend the sheep. But soon, however, he was bored again, and so he shouted again, "Wolf! Wolf!" even louder than the day before. "A wolf is stealing the sheep! Come help me!" Again, the villagers came running. Again, there was no wolf in sight. This time, the village people were very upset. If you don't tell people the truth all the time, they will never know when to believe you, they said. Now the boy was still laughing at his joke, but he did start to think about what they said. Maybe he thought it isn't so funny to trick people. As the villagers left, on the other side of the tree was a wolf who had been watching everything that had happened. And when the shepherd boy was at his post, the wolf began stealing the sheep. The shepherd boy couldn't believe it. It was a real wolf. He called out, "Wolf! Wolf! A wolf is stealing the sheep!" He waited for the villagers to come running, but no one did. They weren't going to fall for that trick again, but this time it was no trick. The boy tried yelling for help again, but no one came. He could only watch as the wolf ran off into the forest with all the sheep. This time the only one laughing was the wolf. The shepherd boy ran into the village crying, "Wolf! Wolf! He's stealing our sheep!" But the villagers said, "I bet! I can't believe that boy is trying to make fools out of us again." "Well, he's not going to make a fool out of me," said another villager. "I don't believe him." "I'm telling the truth, though, this time. There really is a wolf in the valley, and he really is stealing the sheep. You've got to believe me." The villagers came and looked at the boy. They shook their fingers at him. "We're smarter than you think," they said. "This time we're just going to ignore you and your wolf. Huh?" The shepherd boy knew then that no one would believe him. He sadly walked back to his lookout. He gazed down where he always took his sheep to eat grass, but there wasn't any sheep left. The wolf had taken all of them away, and the boy was so sad that he began to cry. He remembered what his parents had told him and how he had wished he had listened to what they had said. He wished he had just always told the truth. He didn't want any harm to come to the sheep, but because he didn't tell the truth, no one believed him when it really mattered, and now it was too late. The shepherd boy didn't think his joke was so funny anymore. The end.